Today we are doing the one set review, and boy does that roll off the tongue. Today I'm just doing the set review. I think I don't have too much to say other than this is probably gonna be a vibes-based set review. And for context, it's because I mostly just play like arena, gold plat-ish. Don't really go beyond that. My mono white deck, mono white mid range. I play some Pioneer, I guess, and so far as long as it's Explorer in Arena, so not really Pioneer, more just Explorer. And I play some Brawl. I as well also play some Commander. So basically, I'm gonna go off of like vibes based on those formats. Take that how you will. Although, I will say, I had once upon a time played Modern, so take that in consideration. Although that's just most of my credentials. That's all my credentials really, so not much. It's like that one meme where it's like, oh, source, it's just, and it's like, trust me, bro. Like that's the set review. Anyways, let's do the set review. We're gonna basically go off of mostly just, I want to say mythics and rares, because usually, especially in like these other formats that people are playing, it's mostly mythic and rares. Others are like limited and commons. I mean, if it's interesting, you know, sometimes they put a lot of text on them, maybe we'll go through it, but most of the part it's gonna be like that. I think that's it. I think I do want to do some like categorizing and that like my favorite one of each color. I'm not sure if this is gonna be pronounced in every set, in every like color that I do, but we'll see how it goes. The set's not gonna be rolled out until, you know, next week, so I guess we'll have some time. Anyways, let's get into it. Right now we're doing mono white. Oh, I guess white. Yeah, so let's get into it. First card is Skrelv Defector Might. For 1 white, you get legendary artifact creature Phyrexian Might with Toxic 1. Players don't come damage by this creature, also get a poison counter. Skrelv Defector Might can't block. 1 Phyrexian White. Tap, choose a color. Another target creature you control gains Toxic 1 and texture from that color on the turn. They can't be blocked by creatures of that color this 1/1. I don't know what to think about this card. I know a lot of people try to make like Infect work in Commander. I don't think I've really seen like Infect work in Commander as like general strategy. I will say the only caveat to that is when they play that, what is it? There's like 2 Infect cards in particular, the black one and the green one, that sort of are Infect cards, but only so far as that like poison counters you have matter, right? Like there's the one that's like give creature plus X and infect on a turn, and of course like you die from infect because you pump the creature to like 10 power, and then you know you die from the infect because you have 10 infect poison counters. But like the infect decks, people usually like scream when they in like wheeze when they see one. So I'm not sure if this will work out in Commander, because I feel like people will just destroy this, right? Like they see it, they're like, oh no, you're gonna have unblockable, but it's Toxic 1, so just getting like 1 damage 10 times at one person, that's gonna be rough unless you're going pretty wide. I don't know how I feel about this one. I will say though, coming on at 1 mana and being like a sort of mom effect is gonna be cool. You have a lot of life to work with in Commander, so it's probably not gonna be too much of a pain. Maybe something like this can work, especially when you get like his Hive. A lot of these can come together really nicely in the mono white package, because white can get like these enchantments, aka Skrelv's Hive, I'm really talking in particular, and I guess some other stuff that might be coming out in this set, but I think this will be cool for like a top Commander deck. I honestly am not seeing it though as like being a really good Commander though. Definitely gonna be like casual playable, and maybe like a cute pet deck, like, oh, I have 1-drop for my commander. Like that's definitely for sure cute. Speaking of 1-drop commanders, the only other 1-drop commander we have is Isamaru, the goodest boy, and this is rivaling him. Honestly, I don't know who's better. Like this has more text, which makes me feel like, okay, maybe Skrelv is like pretty cool. But also, Isamaru is just like a 2/2 for 1. Like that's it. It can block. If you're like in a more aggro-based Canadian Highlander format, maybe it becomes relevant. I have no clue. But you know, there's some upside to playing Isamaru, but not to say Skrelv was bad. Skrelv is an artifact. I don't know how much that hurts Skrelv. I assume a lot, because I think Vandal Blast doesn't play too much anymore. Maybe a little bit. I think people are a little more geared towards being more reactive, and in regards to like not playing too many wraths. They're only playing things that so far as protect themselves more often than not. And so like those things generally fade out because they're sorcery based. I think they're like sorcery based removal, like more proactive. I don't know. Maybe that's what we're basing. But the fact that a lot of sorcery based removal hits artifacts and red is gonna be a little rough for Skrelv. But you know what? Skrelv can protect people. Skrelv is a good boy too. I'm supposed to say about this card. I think maybe it could see some play. Where does he play in Modern? Like even if you pump this and give it infect, like they get counters from the infect damage based on the damage. but also the toxic effect. So like, I think the effect, I could be wrong, I think the effect stacks with Infect, because Infect and Toxic are two different abilities that both give poison counters. So the fact that it does stack, maybe it'll see something just to like test it out in Modern. I think that'll be cute. I feel like it's not gonna be that good in Pioneer. Well, if it's not good in Pioneer, it's probably not good in Modern, to be honest. But this is a cool card. This is, I think, a pretty sweet card. I like the design. I'm definitely interested in seeing how people play this card. It was gonna be like a super aggro based go wide strategy, and if white has what it takes to basically, I feel like, compete with elves in that case, right? Because elves sort of go wide, but they also can go tall. This is sort of just like go wide, a bunch of toxic stuff. But this sort of enables toxic in that you can give the creature toxic. I don't know. There's a lot to say about this card. But let me know what y'all think about this card. Next up is Kemba, Ka Enduring. 1 and a white for legendary creature, Cat Cleric. Whenever Kemba, Ka Enduring, one other cat enters battlefield under your control, attach up to 1 turret equipment you control to that creature. Equipped creature you control gets +1/+1, 3 white, create a 2/2 white cat creature token. Listen, I'm not a big fan of like token strategies or even like equipment strategies, but boy, does this card look like a card I want to play. The fact that it generates tokens on itself, doesn't require anything else, just 5 mana, creates a 2/2. I think that's like pretty unheard of for like a white card on a commander. Like, I think Heliod is 4 mana, create a 2/1, right? I guess in that case, like, this is a little bit overcosted, but having that extra butt means they can block a little better, but you do have ability to just like, you know, play your commander on turn 2, which has its own benefits. I think that's fine. I think that 5 mana, you know, mana dump, mana sink is fine on 2/2. That doesn't have any like card draw in the command zone or something like that. I think this is fine. But the fact that it attaches equipments just like by having a cat enter the battlefield, that's good. That's good. They've been really trying to push, I think, a lot of feature. I got like this. Oh, there's my headphones. I got the headphones stuck in my shirt. I was like looking for it, and I was like, yo, where are my headphones? I just had them. It's like wrapped around my shirt. The fact that it has, I think Wizards has been like creating a lot of things lately that sort of get away from equipment attaching costs, so the cost to attach equipments, and I think this does it really nicely, because that essentially means your equipment it isn't always dead, right? Like, as soon as a cat or the cat enters battlefield, or like the thing that gets that equipment again, basically, and basically if you're at the cost of like destroying a token, you're not really losing cards, right? Like, if they're not gonna destroy the equipment, and they're going to only destroy the tokens, assuming you're playing a bunch of tokens in this sort of deck, you're not really losing cards, right? It's like virtual card advantage. Them just like taking care of your tokens. Although 5 mana is a lot to make a token. I think it adds a lot. I think it definitely adds a lot. Also a Lord. I want to say this adds a lot of juice to equipment decks. Like, if you think about some of the effects that it has, like Anthem effects are at least 2 mana, right? This will give you an Anthem effect on equipped creature. But yeah, there is some hoops to hump. Thinking about this, there are some hoops to jump through. So take that how you will. I think this is a cool card though. Coming down at turn 2, this is another early mana value commander. I'm a big fan of this. This means you can get him out, you can set her up, and I don't know, off to the races. This is a cool card. I like this card. I'm a big fan of this card. The fact that making tokens is becoming more prominent, it feels like, in white, I'm a big fan of. Other colors can make tokens, I just feel like it's more prominent. And like, token is virtual card advantage. Like, if you can get to trade a token for like an actual card, that's like a token maker's dream, because you just traded a fake card for a real card at the cost of keeping cards in your hand. Which is like, especially when you're playing against blue decks and they have that stupid, and this is like me venting now, they have that stupid Teferi. I guess all Teferis are sort of, they have the Teferi and then they make the token, and you're just like, I can't get past it. All my cards are gonna run to it and just die, and it's still attacking for like a bajillion damage. Yeah, when you see like these tokens just eat up actual physical cards, man, it feels bad. Or like when you see someone try to blow up a token with an actual card from their hand, that's been me a few times when I'm playing like a control deck. That hurts. I feel like this is what this Kemba can do. So, interesting card. I think you'll see some play in Commander. I'm kind of interested in seeing this will see play in Standard, because they have the, what is it? They have the, what's that giant hammer that people play in Hammer Time for Modern? Colossal Hammer. Fossil Hammer? Have that. And you can get Kemba out, or, yeah, you can get Kemba out. Oh, it has to attach up to 1 target creature. Oh, up to 1 target creature that you control. So it doesn't have to be Kemba. Like, if you play Colossus Hammer first, then you play Kemba each piece, Enters on the battlefield under your control. Attach up to one target creature equipment you control to that creature. Okay, so you have to attach it to Kemba. Okay, that makes it a little bit worse. But like getting a +10/+10 on like a 2-mana card, gonna be pretty good. That's gonna be pretty good. I'm a fan of this card. I think this card is pretty sweet. Might see it in the near future. However long. Yeah, so might see some play in Modern for that reason. Might see some play in Pioneer. Okay, I think we'll see more play in Pioneer than Modern. But like, I think the fact that it's enabling more Hammer Time type of decks is gonna be pretty sweet. Definitely see some playing Commander. Constructor, I don't know if we'll see too much like Commander. I know there's a lot of 4 mirror cards coming out, which is virtual card advantage. You're getting 2/2, plus you have that equipment on the battlefield. Now the equipment is like really low value, but it's still like a physical card on the battlefield that they probably haven't really got rid of. So that's sweet. I think this card is sweet. This is a sweet card. Next card is Norn's Wellspring. 1 and a white for an artifact with whenever a creature you control dies, scry 1 and put an oil counter on Norn's Wellspring. 1 tap, remove 2 oil counters from Norn's Wellspring. Draw a card. Drown so you may breathe again. Is that? I don't know if that's Tamio in the art. I think it is. But this is an interesting card because it's white card draw. Yeah, it is. But the fact that you have to spend 2 creatures to draw 1 card, I don't know how I feel about that. It honestly feels like a really black effect, but it's on a white card. I feel like that's really weird. Is it not? Right? Like, black cares about creatures dying. This is a white card caring about creature dying. Whenever creature dies, scry 1. How many other? Can I get a count on that? Someone? Anyways, yeah, so this is a card that requires you to sack creatures. And if you're sacking your own creatures, you're going to go down 2 creatures to draw 1 card. So that creature should be either drawing cards and then it dies by accident or someone else destroying it. For this to really even pay off, I don't think you killing your own creatures in a white deck, you probably want to pair this like an Orzhov kind of effect or some sort of like aristocrat kind of effect, which probably definitely where you want to put this in. It's probably best. The fact that it's 2 creatures having to die, that does make sense because otherwise it's just like, yeah, this card comes out and then all of a sudden it makes all your creatures basically not immoral, but like all your creatures cantrip basically, right? They try to kill your creature and you're just like, oh, okay, my creature's gonna die. I'm just gonna pay 1 mana in to draw a card, right? It's actually, I think, best that they do keep it at 2 oil counters. I think it's kind of like OP. Is there? I guess there are other cards at 3 mana that like if a creature dies, it draws a card for you, but also you lose a life. That's not losing a life really isn't white on white theme, so I guess that's why black can get it. So like I think this makes sense to be in a white's wheelhouse and that like the way it's worded. I think that makes sense. For that reason, I think this is a decent commander card. Like you're gonna have a lot of creatures dying, especially like more aggressive based decks. The fact that it scries some creatures dying means like it gets sort of immediate value. I don't think it's gonna be good in standard or older formats or pioneer, but I think it's gonna be fine in EDH. That's because there's so many creatures dying that you control, usually if you're putting something in the deck. And I think you're gonna rack up a lot of counters, to be honest. I think they're, in this set in particular, you're gonna get a lot of counters, a lot of counter enablers. So this could be like, just straight gas. This could be like a Endless Atlas number 4 or something like that. Yeah, this is a sweet card. This is definitely sweet. It's gonna enable a lot of aggressive strategies too, which I'm a big fan of for Commander because, yeah, we need more aggressive strategies. This is a cool card. Next card is Ossification. 1 and a white for enchantment aura that can't basic land you control. When Ossification enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls until Ossification leaves the battlefield. So this is you being crystallized or bona fide into, I guess, ossified into Elesh Norn's chair, into Mommy's chair. Listen, they're all going crazy over it. I don't know why. I'm not the biggest fan of Elesh Norn. So far as like being sat on by her. I don't know why it's a big thing and stuff. This is a cool card though. I think this is basically Chain the Rocks number 5 through 8. But if you're playing Pioneer, I guess Chain Rocks isn't Pioneer, but it's not an Explorer, so why, right? I think this is decent, especially in like my mono white mid-range / control decks. This is just 2 mana. This is good for 2 mana. I've been trying to make mono white devotion work. I think this is like gonna be really good for that. And I say mono white devotion thing, mono white devotion mid-range control. Listen, I played the most out of the pocket decks ever. Not really that crazy, but it's just like me being wishful that like, oh, mono white's gonna be good. Listen, we're slowly getting there. We are slowly but surely getting there. This is a pretty cool card. This is, and I've always had this issue with Fateful Absence, where it was like a card that gave your opponents the choice like immediately, which is really rough. This is a card that's like, who in their mind, except for green decks, and if you're playing white, you can wrath green decks pretty easily and get away from the issue. But like, who in their right mind is playing enchantment removal in 2023? No one's playing enchant removal in 2023. No one's doing it unless you're playing Commander. You know, this is a good card. This is basically Fateful Absence. This is probably played in a Fateful Absence, right? Because I think the only decks that are playing Fateful Absence are stuck in mostly majority white decks, and this is gonna fill that role in that it's being removal. And you're probably playing a lot of basics because you're probably playing things like Lay on Arms or Lay Down. Probably playing things like Restoration of Ganjo, stuff like that. Gets planes, gets basics. This is good. This is really nice. And I've always been like, yo, why aren't they giving away 2 mana removal? Black's got all this good 2 mana removal. These other colors, good 2 mana removal. I don't want to see arrest again. I don't want to see like these arrest effects. I want to see actual removal that doesn't give my opponents the benefit. This is that. This is that. This is the dream, or the closest we're gonna get to it. The real dream is like Forge the Plowshares, and you don't even give your opponent life. You just exile their creature for 1 minute. Shoot, just make it free. Just make it free. Yeah, this is a fine card. I think this will see play in Standard, and honestly, probably Pioneer. I've been looking for someone to play like a juicy mono white mid-range control in Pioneer. I think I'm gonna try to be the one. I'm just not that good. I don't play best of 3, I play best of 1. But maybe we can cook something up. You know, we cooking here and there. We might as well put that up. We'll see how that goes. We'll put that in the plan once the set comes out. I'm sure to get like better removal that is like not Fateful Absence. And I say this like slightly better than Fateful Absence because the only issue about Fateful Absence is that like, yeah, you can hit Planeswalkers. That's why it's good. Because if you don't want to care about hitting Planeswalkers, you can probably play something else. You probably like a Wrath, which generates basically card advantage in white. And you can probably stave off aggro decks by the time you cast your board wipe. If you're using Fateful Absence to destroy a Planeswalker, I think most times people know you have Fateful Absence in the context of Arena. And this is like, okay, the Planeswalker enters, it gets its upticker down, and then you destroy it. It's like, well, they got value out of it. I feel bad. I'm destroying the creature after they get value out of it. And then they get value out of my card. They get the free card draw. It just feels bad. It feels so bad. But you know what? That's fine. That's a-okay, because we got this over. I think this will honestly we'll see some play in mono white decks or white majority decks in Commander as well. So I want to say Pioneer, Standard, and Commander probably. Look at these cards. We have Planner Disruption, 1 and a white for enchantment aura with enchant artifact, creature, or planeswalker. Enchanted permanent can't attack, block, or activate abilities. Jeez, that was word salad. This is really cool. I think this is basically ossification. I don't say on steroids. They both do different things. Ossification can handle, I guess, artifact or creatures and planeswalkers with static abilities really well. This is sort of basically a derivative of Arrest that can also handle artifacts, which is really nice. And those activate abilities can't be activated, so it's really strong on Commander. I'm really trying to stop from saying like it's just like, you know, just straight up strictly better, because I don't think people bring this up all the time in Commander, or not Commander, but in Magic. I find it really hard pressed to find something that's strictly better, because yeah, this is like Arrest, and this is like a small tangent. Like this is like Arrest, yeah, at 2 mana, but Arrest can't be Spell Snared. Spell Snared is played in Commander, at higher levels that is. It's probably played in Modern, right? I think it's played Modern. I think there's like a whole point where Blue-White wasn't playing any, they were playing Spell Snare at one point. This gets Spell Snared there. Yeah, right? Like, this, like, Arrest can't get, not that you're playing Arrest in those formats, but like, I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of situations where like mana cost comes up as sort of a way to disrupt or be disrupted. So being 2 mana is really helpful most of the time, but not true. In this case, this is like really strong against commanders because a lot of commanders have activated abilities, and this stops activated abilities. Granted, this is going to be really good against my Oswald deck. I'm probably going to be putting in a lot of my white decks. This is really sweet. I think this card probably is worth it in all white decks because this feels really close to something like I want to say like a budget Darksteel Mutation, but it's not quite that, right? Like you probably want to put this on like non-black decks that like can't get their commanders back easily, because it stops things like Urza, it stops things like big beefy swingers and mono green commanders. This can stop, I guess, artifacts that are just doing too much based on activated costs. I think it's a lot. I think it's like really close to Ossification. Like the benefit over Ossification is that like Ossification can hit basically static abilities, but this can hit artifacts as well. So yeah, I think this is like really strong. I think static abilities come a lot in EDH. So in that context, I think this might be a little bit worse in EDH, but I think it would be a little bit better than ossification in more constructed form, standard or pioneer. Just because I think more people are sort of looking to not accumulate value as much as like the white or blue based decks are. I could be wrong here, but I feel like those decks are based on non-blue white decks are more based on like immediate value. They're more aggressive a bit. And so like hitting their creatures, things like these, can be beneficial, right? That's not to say like there aren't creatures or like things, enchantments or permanents. Sorry, there aren't permanents that do accumulate value. There's like things like Phyrexia that do, but like having Phyrexia not attack, or like having something like a what's that one land? If you attach this onto like the artifact lands that come in and can swing, does this stay on the land? I think it does because it says enchanted permanent can't attack or block. So like it'll be a creature, and then it's already attached, right? That's just defining its targetable traits, I think. I have no clue what I'm saying right now. Okay, listen, it's like 7 p.m. Okay. This is a cool card. I think it's a good card. It'll see some play, and I'm probably gonna do next. Rel's Hive. Enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and create 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact token with Toxic 1. And then this creature can't block. Okay. As long as the opponent has 3 more poison counters, creatures you control have Toxic with Toxic have lifelink. Alright, interesting. So this is basically a really not a watered down Bitter Blossom, but like I think this won't see too much play in Commander. I think you'll see some decent play in 1-on-1 formats, where like going wide can be really strong strategy, especially against like control, because no one wants to wing a removal spell at like a token, like I was saying. And it means that even life gain in like those control decks will probably be mute, because you know what? This just gives you poison counter. So this is like pretty sweet. I think this card will see play probably only there. I don't think it'll see play in like EDH, but I would say I'd be hard pressed to not put this in a Skrull deck. Like you gotta put it in Skrull deck. It's his card. It's his Hive. I think it's Skrull, right? He's kind of cute, I guess, for a Might. That looks like that. All right, next. White Sun's Twilight. X white. You gain X life. Create X 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature tokens with Toxic 1. This creature can't block. If X is 5 or more, destroy all other creatures. Listen, I have been a fan of things like what's the name of the card? I shouldn't bring it up if I can't remember it. What's that one card? Oh, Torrent's Hellfire. Cards like Torrent's Hellfire or Exsanguinate. I think this is super close to that, just in white. I don't know how much mana you can dump into this sort of effect, or how you get that much mana in white, but like this is pretty darn close, right? Like say you make like 24 mana or something. You get 24 life, create 24 more things that can do 3 points impact or poison counters. They destroy other creatures. They have no creatures, they have a turn to set up, and honestly, if they just throw all their cards on the board in fear that they're gonna die from the poison, isn't that just like a win? Like you swing in and you just like wipe again or something? Like they just dump their hands to protect themselves from the block, or from the swing back. Like I think that's like a win either way. This is creating a board presence that, is kind of iffy, but like it clears the way for like that board presence to win the game. And it heals you a bit. I think this is like a pretty neat card. I think you should probably play it in some amount of white decks. I can probably be said for any deck, but like decks that can go long and just have a card like these. Like this is, I think, pretty decent. I don't know what to say. It is rough because there are cards that like create 1/1 creatures based on like some X value, and if the X value is big enough, it will destroy all other creatures. Those aren't seen play, but this has like the ability to win because a non-zero amount of these creatures can kill someone by themselves, right? Like getting in for 1 damage, and they're expendable too, and you can make them pretty easily. I feel like that means like this is very much just gonna be like a win condition. It's gonna be really slow, but like if you're creating that many of them, I think I don't know, maybe it is like really slow. Like you probably need like some sort of devotion for it, because we don't have things like Cabal Coffers and Mono White and EDH. So it's gonna be real rough trying to get there, like find a way to get there, but I think like this is probably where we want to go. There are some like angel effects that sort of do the same effect, but this is, I think, pretty close to doing like that plus, which is like basically putting 2 cards in one, which I think is just more efficient, more value oriented. Which reminds me, I should start talking about like more value, like the value of these cards more. So right, like a Wrath effect to destroy all other creatures, that's 4 mana by itself. So if X is 2, let's see, okay, so 4 mana for Wrath, alright? You want to pay 5 in this, so you want to make, so if X is 5, you're paying 1 extra for a 1/1 Might, and gaining 1 life, probably not worth it. Like, I don't know if there's a card that easy gaining 1 life, but like, that's probably not, you probably want to have a big X value. And like I said, like those are those devotion. So I don't know if it's gonna be played, but like I would love it to be played. I would love it to be played. Maybe in standard though. Maybe it's low enough that it'll be played in standard. Who knows? Might Overseer. 3 and a white for a creature Phyrexian soldier. First strike, as long as it's your turn, creature tokens you control get +1/+0 and have first. 3 in Phyrexian. Create a 1/1 colorless Phyrexian light artifact creature token with toxic 1, and this creature can't block. 4/2. Bruh, these are. I think this is like a really good card. This is like. Oh, okay. Paying 2 mana to make a 1/1 for 3 mana. How good is that? How good is that? It's kind of hard to see what the baseline is for a might because there's no card that just like makes mites, right? Maybe we can do some like weird triangulation of the value, but like I feel like this is getting pretty close like where you want to be for like the cost of a might. I think this could probably see some plain standard. 4/2 with first strike means this is getting in. It has a lot of power, so like whatever is blocking it. And it blocked all that, and it's got like it's got more than 1 life, so like you can't just put a token in front of it and like expect it to die or like be gone of it because it's swinging again next turn. The fact that it gives your tokens +1/+0 and first strike means if people are blocking those tokens, they're probably creating some creatures, right? So this makes like those tokens become definitely more formidable as long as your creature token. I think that swing by itself. They can just send the tokens in. So this makes the tokens more formidable, not only for the toxic value, but also for just like the raw damage, because this is doubling their power base. I think this is pretty sweet. I think we'll see some plain standard. I don't know about seeing play in EDH. I feel like it could if things like, I bet it's like 4 mana. I feel like if things like Goblin Rattlemaster are being played, this would probably be like one of those if it was 1 mana less, but that'd kind of be OP, right? Goblin Rattlemaster, you could lower, I think you could lower the mana value by 1, knock 2 power off of it, keep the first strike, and just have the ability as is. I think that'd be fine. I don't think it'd be overpowered. I think that'd see more play definitely in standard. Not standard. Let's see more play in EDH, but would I see more play in standard? You might have to get rid of the +1 actually to your tokens for first strike, but that's at the cost of like having. This might be like the top end of an aggro deck though. Top end of like aggro toxic decks. I don't think it'll see any play in the other formats though, Pioneer or Modern. I think it's a cool card though. I think it's very promising. And Mondric, Glory Dominus. 2 white frozen creature, Phyrexian horror. 1 more tokens you would create under your control, create twice of tokens instead. 1 white, sacrifice 2 other tokens and or creature or artifacts and or creatures. Put an initial counter on Mondric Glory Dominus. 4/4. I have no clue if these like Dominuses are actual gods in story, or if they're people are referring to them being god by their ability to be indestructible or stay indestructible. I'm not too sure about that. What do you mean by that? I always figured like the Phyrexians, like the actual praetors, would be like the gods, like the head honchos in the universe. But maybe these are. It just says they're Phyrexian horrors. Like maybe they're just like the lieutenants. I feel like maybe that's like a good way to categorize them. I'm not too sure. This thing definitely looks really scary. It's like a big mouth. Like, can you imagine this versus? I don't want to say, Mommy? What's her name? Elish Norn? Like, who would win in a fight? Would Elish Norn win? I don't know. Maybe she's like just being controlled by Elish Norn. I know they're all supposed to like Elish Norn doesn't really think that way. But like I'm so confused like the hierarchy and like who's the leader, who's leading who. This seems like really daunting to see in like real life. It's just like breaking those pillars too by screaming. Yeah, pretty spooky. Okay, anyways, as a card, does this seem played? Honestly, I think this is gonna see play. I think people will definitely play token strategies, and this card being a god as a token strategy is probably one of the better things to do. But it being a mono white, I don't know if you want to go there. Maybe it's gonna be in the 99. Sacrificing 2 artifacts and or creatures in mono white might be a little hard unless you like. I don't know, because those artifacts and or creatures probably need to make tokens in those decks. I don't know about this card. I don't see it being played in standard, or it could create more mites in standard. That's about it. I don't see it being played though. It's not. I don't think it's good enough in standard. Or the non-rotating formats. I think it's definitely a commander card. I don't think it's that bad as a commander card, but I think there are better ones. This does double like the smothering type triggers or tokens, which is nice. But if you have a smothering type out already, I feel like it's doing enough. It's just like probably win more. Unless you have more. Is it win more though? It's definitely gonna get you to your pinnacle. It's gonna be good in like those token decks. I definitely think that's gonna be the case, but I feel like it's not needed. People can just react to like you actively go to just like killing it, and you can sacrifice more stuff and lose more life. But like that's super costly. Like that activation cost. I guess that's the cost of like becoming godified. I guess I don't know about this card. I don't know about this one, boys. I don't know. I'm feeling iffy about it. Maybe it is good, but we'll see. Definitely iffy on this one. Maybe an EDH. I don't think other formats. Next is Phyrexian Vindicator. White, 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 white. For a creature, Phyrexian Horror is flying. If damage will be dealt to Phyrexian Vindicator, prevent that damage. And damage is prevented this way. Phyrexian Vindicator deals damage to any target, any other target. 5/5. This is the 5 mana equivalent to Phyrexian Devastator, which is, I think, stronger generally, but that's fine being stronger. This is definitely gonna have more interesting play styles, I think, because you can do like Boros or something like that, or you can just have this as a blocker when you're playing against mono red. And I think Devotion in the mono red matchup is probably gonna be more of a control matchup, not on the swinging side of things. And this is sitting there menacingly. They're not gonna be able to just kill this thing. Like, this just stays there. Any damage that be dealt to Phyrexian Vindicator is prevented. So like they can try to destroy it, but then you just like reflect damage back to their face, or like at one of their creatures they're trying to like pop through. This is like a really good card in that matchup. For that, I don't think it's really worth it, because all the other, okay, maybe green can do damage to it. If green does damage to it, okay, maybe it is good against the red-green matchup. Not good versus blue matchups. Not good versus, I think that's flying though. Maybe it's good against like the spirit matchups. But even then, like, I don't think spirits is letting you get a 4 mana creature through. Are they? They might. They might. I just feel like it doesn't do enough. Like, it's good devotion and a cool effect, but I just think it's more pretty than it is good compared to the Obligator. Maybe you'll see some play in standard, but I have like hard time seeing it. Okay, maybe in like a devotion mono white deck and like Pioneer, but after that, I feel like it's kind of hard time seeing play. I don't think it'll see. Actually, no. Maybe we'll see play in EDH as like a propaganda effect, because if you're seeing this and it, like, I doubt someone's gonna swing into you unless you have trample. Even if you have trample, it's like this doesn't get damage dealt to it, so it just flings it back at any target. That's value. That's just value. So this, it can't be. It's basically indestructible, right? For that matter, like unless it has like a destroy board wipe. That's the only case. Like it can be destroyed. Makes sense. Like I can see play patterns where people are like tossing things in, and then all of a sudden, like, for you to trade that damage in to get rid of someone else's creature. I can see that in EDH. That would be a cool play. I would be that player. maybe I'll play it just for that reason. Like a 4 mana 5/5 is nothing to sneeze at too. Extend that is. Even in EDH, it's like seeing that a few times, you kind of get spooked, right? I'm interested. People aren't playing Obligator in EDH, but like, you know what? This is interesting. This is an interesting card. Okay, I'm a fan of it. I just don't think it'll see that much play. I'm not that big a fan of it. Like in regards to like it seeing play. Maybe it's a trap card. I can see that. Interesting card though. What do y'all think about this card? Next card is Elish Norn, Mother of Machines. 4 and white frozen creature, Phyrexian Praetor with Vigilance. If permanent entering the battlefield to cause triggered ability of permanently control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Permanents entering the battlefield don't cause abilities of permanents your opponent's control to trigger. 4/7. This is a card I can get behind. This is a pretty dope card. As far as like 5 mana like commander cards, this is probably one of them I want to put in. This basically doubles up all your ETB effects. It's gonna block for a while, but also it's gonna stop your opponents from playing the game. I'm a fan of that. So this is gonna be stacksy for your opponents, but the good thing about that is it breaks parity just by itself. And it can swing, right? Because no one's blocking a 4/7. No one's blocking EDH. CDH. I think it's a pretty decent card, but maybe it's too hefty in cost. I think it won't see. Maybe we'll see some play in standard too. But Pioneer, not too many 5-drops being played there, man. Not too many. Or the older formats. I could maybe standard, maybe Pioneer. For sure, this is like one of those good Praetors. So it's gonna be played. And just to like specify, like it's gonna be play for a lot of reasons. Pumping your ETB effects up. That's one reason, but also stopping things like Bastil's Oracle, or just like ETB effects. Death trigger, it's not the triggers, but like ETB triggers, that's probably, or of like anything really. That's like really good, because a lot of effects are going to ETB, just because a lot of people play ETB effects because it gets around things like counter spells. It's basically like a weird form of like card advantage in some ways, and this sort of stops that. But it also doubles up on ETB, so like this is good as like a bounce commander. So this is dope. Last but not least, we have the Eternal Wanderer. 4 white for legendary planeswalker. Has no more than 1 creature can attack the Eternal Wanderer each combat. +1, exile up to 1 target artifact creature. Return the battlefield under opponent's control at the next player's end of that player's end step. 0 is create 2/2 white samurai creature token with double strike. -4, each player chooses a creature. For each player, choose a creature that player controls. Each player sacrifices all other creatures they not. Each player sacrifices all creatures they control not chosen this way. 5 mana. I think like the earlier Wanderer, this is like similar to that, in that it's Master of None, a jack of all sort of effect, where like, okay, the Wandering Emperor isn't that good at getting rid of creatures, as it's only as good as how aggressive your opponents are. And it can go back for like, you know, winning games. Creating a 2/2 with Vigilance is nothing to scoff at. But those are all like okay effects because like the card has flash. It can open up your option. I think this card is like that. I think it's really good at defending itself. So like stopping creatures from attacking it, it's gonna be strong. But on the other side of it, it's like it can get rid of creatures, which is okay for its +1. That's usually like a 2 mana effect. Creating a 2/2 white samurai token with double strike. I want to say creating a 2/2 with double strike is a 3 mana effect. So if you make that 3 times or 2 times, you're getting your mana's worth. Usually 3 times. If you're +1ing 1 time, you're not getting your mana's worth. If you're +1ing 3 times, you're getting your mana's worth. So you think they have things like Otherworldly Journey, bounce things back to end step, back to end step. It's -4 ability. That I want to say is probably somewhere like a 5 mana card, or a 4 mana card. I think Wrath can do this effect because it's symmetrical, right? Like this is a white symmetrical effect, and that's wiping creatures. I think this sort of effect can be at 4 mana, and everyone would be fine with that. And so you would need a Wrath, and then you would need to make a 2/2 where you get your manas back. That'd be like 6 mana. Like you're just like going strictly off value. I think that's okay. I think I could see like creating the 2/2s multiple times, just flooding the board is also a really strong play. Because 2/2s are hard to deal with. Those double strike, that's 3 mana worth of value for a 0. I think that's really good. I think you want to play this in more of like a mid-range control based strategy. I've been toying around with my mid-range control deck in that like I have a bunch of creatures that like flash in, or like creatures that come in just based off of like some random occurrence. When I say random, just like they come in just by accident, like things like Birtham Letus or things like the Restoration of a Ganjo. Like these creatures that are being made come in just because some other effect created them, not because I put them in my deck, right? But if you have a creature like this, I feel like you put in things. I feel like you can put in a lot of token makers. Like you can put in token maker, and all of a sudden, like on turn 5, you know you're not gonna die that turn, right? Or at the end of their turn, you create a token, and then you play the Turtle Wanderer, and then you board wipe, and you got a blocker. So I think that could be a strong play. But also 4 mana for like a overcosted board wipe. Things if you get that far in the game. I feel like this is the type of card though you definitely want to take all your board wipes out, or at least have very close to like 1 or 2 board wipes and have that in with the Wanderer, because I think this is like is trying to fill that role in while also trying to be like a value piece. I don't know, it's hard to say where you want to put that. I think definitely mid-range or like controlled based decks I want this. I think it looks like I want to play in those decks. I want to play in a control deck. This is definitely neat. Yeah, that's all I can really say about these cards. What do you all think about these cards? Do you all like what card you're looking to play? What cards did I miss? I'm very interested in seeing how some of those might play out in other formats that aren't standard, because I want to say there's like something to them. Like maybe you can use them as like artifact fodder. They are artifacts, so that would be helpful. For a lot of like, I guess, white strategies, they do rely on, like mono white in particular, but they do rely on artifacts. Maybe that might help, but yeah, it's definitely interesting to see these play. This is also really good with like bounce effects too. I think it's like a really strong commander. Player Planeswalker, I'm sorry. But yeah, let me know what y'all think about these. Comment below. Peace out, and I'll catch y'all later.